How important is the power amplifier in a high-end music situation? Well, this question comes from Damien in Princeton, Indiana. And my question is, how important is a power amplifier in the signal chain? I'm starting to dive into separates and I'm still learning. Good for you, Damien, that's great. I personally have a Heath kit. Oh, Heath kit? I haven't heard of, that's great. I haven't heard of those in years. There used to be what, ICO and Heath kits. And that's where you would buy a kit and sort of a do-it-yourself project, put it together. Wow, that brings back some old memories. Dynaco made some kits too, if I remember. Dynakit, was it called? I think so. Anyway, what does he say here? He has a modified and recapped NAD, New Acoustical Dimensions 3080, as a temporary preamp. And I recently have come across your Model 1 amplifier for a reasonable price. God, I would hope so. The thing's nearly 40 years old. Would I be better off upgrading my preamp section or the power amp section for better quality? I am going to say your power amp. As much as I love the Model 1 power amplifier, my Lord, that is 40 years old? I think 38, 40 years old. And it's just, you know, it was a great amp in its day. And yeah, sure, it still makes music, but I'd be pretty leery. That thing would have to have a really doggone good price to get me to hook that up to my system, because you can do so much better today. You'd likely be better off, well, you'd be better off with the new technology if you could, but that's not always possible given that you're just getting involved in this. So if you want to go PS audio and you're looking for older amplifiers, our Model 2C Plus, if you can find one of those, definitely better than the Model 1. What else? Well, we made a number of great amps throughout the years. Anyway, there are a number of great amps out there. The Adcom 555, I see those all the time. And those are really good amps. Hafler's made really good amps back then. I'd just be careful going too vintage, because electrolytics, the capacitors inside of those power supplies, dry up and go bad. And if something goes wrong, in most cases, the semiconductors are not available any longer. I know the semiconductor outputs in the Model 1s that we used are no longer available. In fact, even as late as the 200C, which was a great power amplifier designed by Bob Odell that we released sometime in the mid-1980s, if I remember right. Those transistors are no longer available either, and that's considerably newer by almost 2 decades than a Model 1. So be careful. I'm trying to think what we used. And the 15003s and 4s are coming to mind, but I honestly don't remember. Anyway, so to the central question of how important is a power amplifier into your system, it's real important. And here's the thing. A lot of people, most people, don't pay enough attention to the power amplifier. Why? Well, I have a pet theory. Because power amplifiers generally have no user interface. They're just blocks that sit near the speakers with wires coming out of them, and they just work. Speakers turn on, they get powered, watts go through, music comes out of the speaker. And we don't pay a whole lot of attention to it. Now, a preamp or a DAC or a phono stage, now we're interacting with that. We're playing with it, we're seeing it, we're touching it. Those things get a lot more of our attention, and yet I don't think they are on any less of a high ground as a power amplifier when it comes to sonic integrity, when it comes to the importance in a system of any particular piece of gear. I would put the power amplifier up there, maybe second or third to the loudspeakers. You know, most of you who have listened to this series over many years remember that my number one piece of equipment is the loudspeaker. which goes counter to what a lot of people believe. You start with the source and you wind up with a loudspeaker. I have always believed the opposite. You start with the best pair of loudspeakers you can possibly invest in. I mean, just go all in. Get the best speaker you can. Set it up as best you can within a room, and then over time add electronics to go along with them, because you know what? I don't care how good your electronics is, if your speakers can't reproduce what the electronics are trying to deliver, you don't have anything. So speakers first, and I would say power amplifier second or third. It'd be a real toss between your source, whether it be a CD player DAC combo or a phono stage, and then the power amplifier. And as much as I love preamplifiers, I find them a little bit lower down the list of importance relative to one of these bad boys. Everything funnels through this amplifier, and it has one of the most difficult jobs in all of audio. So pay attention to your power amplifier. Speakers first, let's call it power amplifier second, then your source, etc. Okay, good luck, and I hope you wind up with a great sounding system. Thanks. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye.